What's this?
It's obvious, isn't it?
A memoir of Robert Blincoe, an orphan boy sent from the workhouse of St Pancras, London at 7 years of age to endure the horrors of a cotton mill. 7 years old.
Many orphans and children lived in workhouses, and the parish overseers saved money by handing them over to the factories. They became pauper apprentices.
Text to Visor.
It was in the gloomy month of November when Robert Blincoe and the other pauper apprentices arrived at Lytton Mill. Soon after 4 in the morning, the apprentices were summoned to work by a ringing bell. They were called so early and worked so late that little attention was paid to their personal cleanliness. Their clothes were in a filthy and ragged condition, and their bodies literally covered with wheals and contusions, their heads infested with vermin. Blincoe, in common with his fellow sufferers, often dropped down at the frames, and was so weary when at last he left work, he gave a stronger boy part of his supper so he could lean on him on his way back to the apprentice house.
So if this is propaganda, how much is true?
From other evidence available, there seems little doubt that the apprentices at Lytton Mill suffered from long hours, had a monotonous diet, and crowded living conditions. No evidence available on inadequate clothing or filthy accommodation.
I bet a child from the time would have hated it.
I'm afraid it's not that simple.
Animate actor.
I remember when I was gathering taters. Before we come here, this suits me much better. We have very good masters and very good overlookers. The work ties me standing eloquent now and then, but not half as much. No, not even a quarter as much as I used to be getting in taters. This is a good deal best.
She would say that, wouldn't she?
What do you mean?
I bet you wrote what she said.
Her words were based on the evidence of William Munton, aged 10. There was nothing new about children working. 4-year-olds worked on farms, scaring birds off the fields, and for factory work, they were easy to train, and being small, could move between and under machines.
But surely parents wouldn't have wanted their children to work.
It's very hard for outsiders, like historians, to understand the feelings and emotions between members of a family.
Actor Loop, self-engaged.
Children working. It's good they earn the keep, not saying that.
I know, but it's cheapening.
Kids are on 3, 4 shilling. Women are on 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, men on 15.
Stands to reason they'll hire more kids.
What we want's 10 hours. A decent shift. Now, kids are a cause. A flag to wave. Get their shifts written down. Made law. Tablets of stone. Factories will have to follow. We'll have to follow. We'll all have to work same shifts.
10 hours. They say it's with Parliament now. Now then.
What's Parliament got to do with it?
The 10 hours movement put pressure on Parliament to cut the hours children worked.
Why did Parliament have to be pressured?
Many members of government were factory owners themselves, or from the same class as factory owners, and believed that reforming conditions would lead to a damaging fall in profits and trade.
Reconstruction to Visor.
It is no business of Parliament to interfere or try and control the manufacturing process. Shorter working hours will mean a loss of profit, and if you cut their hours, you'll cut their pay.
What's this from?
It's an accurate television reconstruction of evidence given at the 1832 Parliamentary Select Committee on Factory Conditions.
At last, something I can trust.
Tell me, boy, where do you live?
26 Duke Street, Leeds, sir.
Do you work at the mills?
Yes, sir. I'm a bobbin duffer.
At what age did you begin to work in them?
Oh, we're nearly 8 years, I think.
How many hours a day do you work?
From 6 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock at night.
Are you beaten at your work?
Yes, sir. If we look off our work or speak to one another, they beat us.
If you don't go as fast as the machine, will you be beaten?
Yes, sir. They're screaming among the boys and girls every time of the day. They make black and blue marks on our shoulders.
Then there's continual beating of one child or another going on.
Yes.
Did this really go on a lot?
Input data to Visor.
When she was a child, too little to put on her own clothes, the overlooker used to beat her till she screamed.
The girls sometimes get a clout. The mothers often complain about this. The boys were beat so that they fell onto the floor in the course of the beating with a rope with 4 tails called a cat. I've seen the boys black and blue and crying for mercy.
Why didn't you give me this evidence before? It proves I'm right about kids working in factories.
Caution.
I'm afraid it was rumored that the committee was rigged. No evidence was given under oath, and witnesses were coached to give the right answer.
Oh, no. Here we go again. You can't trust anything. I want out.
Do not disengage. Do not disengage. Do not disengage.
You have enough evidence to make a conclusion.
But I can't trust it.
Some evidence is more reliable than others. The Royal Commission can't be ignored. It met 43 times and examined 89 witnesses.
I'll only stay if the children's hours were cut.
The 1833 Factory Act.
No child under 9 to work. 9 to 13, no more than 8 hours a day. 13 to 18, no more than 12 hours a day. Factory inspectors appointed to enforce the act.
But the changes did nothing to limit the hours of adult workers.
Animate actors.
Willem stays home now till he's 9. I bribed Doctor to say he's 9, but he don't look 9. 4 shillings a week it's cost us, and he's kicking his heels idle in the street.
Point was, kids get their hours cut, our hours follow. Decent shifts.
Now, kids work 8 hours, but men must match 2 kids' shifts. That's 16 hours, busting a gut and no complaint. Yet when I come home and there's no food.
It's 'cause I work. I've always worked.
Yeah, you've always worked to me. And my daughter not knowing nothing about sewing or keeping a thrifty house.
Thrifty? You squander it most part and you say thrifty.
I don't want my wife working.
Why is he so worried about his wife working?
He wasn't alone. After 1833, mills began to employ more and more women. In 1839, there were nearly 300,000 mill hands, and nearly 60% were women.
So?
Text to visor.
With everyone out at work, there's no one spare to make the home cheerful and inviting. No clean and tidy wife appears to welcome her husband. No smiling and affectionate mother to welcome her children. On the contrary, all arrive home equally tired.
And working women are almost entirely ignorant of household duties. The industrious working man lives in misery and debt from the conduct of an ignorant gin-drinking woman called his wife.